Soren Kierkegaard, quotes about life, discover profound wisdom for personal growth. I found I had less and less to say, until finally, I became silent and began to listen. I discovered in the silence the voice of God. It is a frightful satire and an epigram on the modern age that the only use it knows for solitude is to make it a punishment, a jail sentence. Man is spirit. But what is spirit? Spirit is the self. But what is the self? The self is a relation which relates itself to itself. This is the miracle of life, that each person who heeds him or herself knows what no scientist can ever know, who he or she is. Do not deceive yourself. Of all deceivers, fear most yourself. There is nothing with which every man is so afraid as getting to know how enormously much he is capable of doing and becoming. The greatest hazard of all, losing oneself, can occur very quietly in the world, as if it were nothing at all. No other loss can occur so quietly. Any other loss, an arm, a leg, $5, a wife, etc., is sure to be noticed. The self is only that which it is in the process of becoming. Be that self which one truly is. The deepest form of despair is to choose to be another than himself. He who cannot reveal himself cannot love, and he who cannot love is the most unhappy of all. No time of life is so beautiful as the early days of love, when with every meeting, every glance, one fetches something new home to rejoice over. Is not where we breathe, but where we love, that we live. Love is all, it gives all, and it takes all. Love does not alter the beloved, it alters itself. Never cease loving a person and never give up hope for him. For even the prodigal son who had fallen most low could still be saved. The bitterest enemy and also he who was your friend could again be your friend. Love that has grown cold can kindle. Above all, do not forget your duty to love yourself. Our life always expresses the result of our dominant thoughts. It is not the path which is the difficulty. Rather, it is the difficulty which is the path. Patience is necessary, and one cannot reap immediately where one has sown. Repetition is the reality and the seriousness of life. The life of freedom requires a beginning, and here a beginning is a resolution, and the resolution has its work and its pain. Thus the beginning has its difficulty. A road well begun is the battle half won. The important thing is to make a beginning and get underway. The highest of all is not to understand the highest, but to act upon it. If anyone on the verge of action should judge himself according to the outcome, he would never begin. It is intelligent to ask two questions. 1. Is it possible? 2. Can I do it? But it is unintelligent to ask these questions. 1. Is it real? 2. Has my neighbor done it? To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. It is better to try something and fail than to try nothing and succeed. The result may be the same, but you won't be. We always grow more through defeats than victories. To venture causes anxiety, but not to venture is to lose oneself. And to venture in the highest is precisely to be conscious of oneself. Take a chance and you may lose. Take not a chance and you have lost already. During the first period of a man's life, the greatest danger is not to take the risk. Without risk, there is no faith. And the greater the risk, the greater the faith. Faith is holding on to uncertainties with passionate conviction. Every mental act is composed of doubt and belief, but it is belief that is the positive. It is belief that sustains thought and holds the world together. He who always hopes for the best becomes old, deceived by life. And he who is always prepared for the worst becomes old prematurely. But he who has faith retains eternal youth. Confidence is the present tense of hope. It requires courage not to surrender oneself to the ingenious or compassionate counsels of despair that would induce a man to eliminate himself from the ranks of the living. In actuality, no one ever sank so deep that he could not sink deeper, and there may be one or many who sank deeper. So it is always possible to be happy and grateful that things are not worse. The unhappy person is never present to themselves because they always live in the past or the future. If I were to wish for anything, I should not wish for wealth and power, but for the passionate sense of the potential, for the eye which, ever young and ardent, sees the possible. Pleasure disappoints, possibility never. And what wine is so sparkling, what so fragrant, what so intoxicating as possibility? Absolute passion cannot be understood by a third party. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true. Wherever there is a crowd, there is untruth. The more people who believe something, the more apt it is to be wrong. The person who's right often has to stand alone. Geniuses are like thunderstorms. They go against the wind, terrify people, cleanse the air. The paradox is really the pathos of intellectual life. And just as only great souls are exposed to passions, it is only the great thinker who is exposed to what I call paradoxes, which are nothing else than grandiose thoughts in embryo. One must not think slightingly of the paradoxical, for the paradox is the source of the thinker's passion, and the thinker without a paradox is like a lover without feeling, a paltry mediocrity. Take away paradox from the thinker, and you have a professor. Adversity not only draws people together but brings forth that beautiful inward friendship. With respect to physical existence, one needs little, and to the degree that one needs less, the more perfect one is.